Sign here, Beatrice commanded, shoving the marriage certificate across the desk. Her blood-red nail tapped impatiently on the dotted line. I stared at the paper, hands trembling. Through the window, the city continued its normal day while my life fell apart. You'll spend your life caring for a useless blind man in poverty, Beatrice said, satisfaction dripping from her voice. No money. No prospects. It's exactly what ungrateful orphans like you deserve. My stepsister Vanessa giggled, filming on her phone. I'm definitely posting this. My stepsister married a blind beggar. At least he won't look at me with the cruelty you do, I said quietly, picking up the pen. I signed my name, Jenny Reeves, in careful script. Whatever happened next couldn't be worse than 13 years under this woman's roof. What neither of them knew was that behind those dark glasses, my new husband could see everything. And he was worth $50 million. Hey friend, before we continue, please subscribe for more stories like this. It's 1 second for you but a big deal for me. 3 months earlier, I thought my life couldn't get any worse. I was wrong, but I had no idea how wrong my stepmother was about everything. The alarm went off at 4:30. I silenced it quickly, dressing in my waitress uniform, thrift store clothes, carefully maintained. I'd learned to be invisible in this house, to need nothing. My first shift started at 5:30 at Morrison's Diner. I'd work until 1, then do online tutoring, then my evening shift at Rosewood Restaurant. This had been my life for 5 years since Beatrice made it clear I'd need to contribute to stay under her roof. Never mind this house belonged to my father. Never mind he'd left everything in trust for me when he died 13 years ago with my mother. Beatrice had taken control, claiming she was managing it until I came of age. But at 21, there were always reasons why I couldn't access it. I crept through the dark kitchen with its expensive marble countertops, renovated last year with money that should have been mine. Going somewhere? Vanessa stood in the doorway wearing silk pajamas that cost more than my entire wardrobe. 26 years old and never worked a day in her life. Just to work. Mom's planning something. I heard her talking about some program. She was laughing. Vanessa's eyes glittered. I think she's finally found a way to get rid of you permanently. I slipped past her into the pre-dawn darkness, wrapping my thin jacket tighter. The 20-minute walk to the bus stop gave me time to think. Beatrice planning something was never good. That evening, there was a text, family meeting tonight at 7. Be here. I arrived home exhausted at 6:30. Beatrice sat in my father's favorite chair, flanked by Vanessa and my stepbrother Damien. Sit, Beatrice commanded, pointing to a chair facing them. We need to discuss your future, she began. You're 22 now. Still living here, contributing essentially nothing despite all these jobs. It's time you started your own life. I pay rent. The point is, you need to move forward. And I've found the perfect opportunity. Marriage. I stared. What? A charity program that arranges marriages for disadvantaged individuals. There's a young man who lost his sight in an accident. Completely blind, unable to work, very poor. He needs someone to care for him. You want me to marry a stranger? I want you to do something meaningful instead of serving hash browns in my storage room. Beatrice leaned forward. This is charitable, Jenny. He needs help. You need a fresh start. What if I say no? Then you leave tonight. With nothing. I know the owners of both restaurants. They'll fire you if I ask. No access to anything that belonged to your father. That money is mine by law. Do you have resources to fight me in court? A lawyer? Money for fees. Beatrice sat back. I suggest you take the charitable option. At least you'll have a roof over your head. When? Saturday. 2 p.m. at City Registry. I've made all arrangements. After they left, I sat in that chair for a long time. This was Beatrice's plan, marry me off to someone who'd keep me too busy and poor to ever challenge her control of my inheritance. But lying in my tiny room that night, I made a decision. If I had to marry a stranger to escape, I would. And I'd be the best wife I could be. He'd lost his sight, his ability to work. He was probably afraid and alone. At least I could give him kindness. It was more than anyone had given me in 13 years. Saturday arrived too quickly. Beatrice drove us to City Registry in her Mercedes, Vanessa filming everything. "This is so perfectly tragic," Vanessa narrated. "My stepsister's wedding day. Marrying a blind man she's never met." I sat in back wearing my $15 thrift store dress, clutching grocery store flowers I'd bought myself. The registry office was stark, fluorescent lights and linoleum floors. An elderly woman introduced herself as Mrs. Zhang. "I run the program that arranged this marriage. Your husband will be here shortly. David lost his sight in a car accident 2 years ago. He'll need patience." David. At least I had a name. The door opened. A man entered, guided by a well-dressed friend. David was tall with dark hair, wearing old jeans and a faded shirt. Dark glasses obscured his eyes completely. He moved carefully, one hand on his friend's arm, holding a white cane. "This is Jenny," Mrs. Zhang said warmly. "Hello," David said, his voice deep and quiet. "Nice to meet you." "Hello. I'm Jenny." He extended his hand and I took it. His grip was warm and steady. "Oh God, this is too perfect," Vanessa whispered loudly, filming. "The blind leading the blind, literally." David's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. The ceremony was brief. Standard vows, no music, no celebration. When it came time for vows, I spoke clearly and sincerely. "I, Jenny Reeves, take you, David Thorne, to be my husband. I promise to care for you, support you, be honest with you, and face whatever comes with dignity and kindness." Beatrice rolled her eyes. Vanessa snorted. But David squeezed my hand gently. "I, David Thorne, take you, Jenny Reeves, to be my wife. I promise to treat you with respect, be honest with you, and build a partnership based on trust." "Congratulations," Mrs. Zhang said. "David, Raymond has your address information. Jenny, you'll be moving to his apartment today." "Today?" I looked at Beatrice. "Your things are packed. You're not part of this family anymore." "Perfect match," Vanessa announced to her camera. "Pauper girl and blind beggar." David spoke quietly but clearly. "Actually, we're perfectly matched. We both know what it's like to be judged by people who can't see past surfaces." Beatrice swept out without saying goodbye. Just like that, I was no longer part of the family that raised me for 13 years. Raymond drove us to a modest apartment building. 3rd floor, small but clean. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, kitchen and living area combined. "You should take the bedroom," David said. "I'll sleep on the couch." "This is your home." "Jenny, take the bedroom, please." Too tired to argue, I agreed. I sat on the bed processing everything. I was married to a man I didn't know. A blind man who needed care. Living in a tiny apartment. And somehow, I felt lighter than I had in years. Because for the first time since my parents died, I was free of Beatrice's house. I woke at 5:30, dressed quietly, and found David already awake with coffee. "Morning. Hope I didn't wake you." "Me too. Work habit." I poured coffee. "I have a shift at 8. Morrison's Diner." "You don't have to work. I have enough saved." "I want to. I need to." I wrapped my hands around the mug. "Besides, we'll need my income." "You work 3 jobs?" "Diner, online tutoring, and evening shifts at a restaurant. Though I might need to drop one now." "That's exhausting." "I'm used to it. My stepmother didn't make things easy. The way she spoke to you wasn't right." His words hit something deep. Nobody had defended me in so long. The first week was strange but not unpleasant. I fell into routine, breakfast for both of us, morning shift, tutoring, dinner, evening tasks. David was remarkably independent. He navigated the apartment with ease, cooked simple meals, kept organized. But there were moments, reaching and missing, bumping furniture, dropping items. Each time, I helped without fuss. Thursday evening, I came home exhausted from a double shift. David was cooking. "You're cooking?" "Trying to. Pasta, about all I can manage safely." "It smells amazing." "You didn't have to. You work so hard. Least I can do is have dinner ready." We ate together, and he asked about my day. Really asked, listening carefully. We debated the mystery novel he'd been listening to. It was nice. Normal. Like an actual couple. That weekend, I suggested a walk. I can describe things. The neighborhood, the park. We walked slowly, my hand on his arm. I described everything: brownstones with autumn decorations, the corner store, the park with massive oaks dropping golden leaves. The sky is incredible blue. Deep, almost violet at edges. Leaves are every shade of gold and red, falling like snow. You have a poet's way of describing things, he said softly. My mother was a writer. She taught me to notice details. Tell me about her. Your parents. So I did. The accident at 12, Beatrice sweeping in afterward. When I finished, he found my hand. I'm sorry you lost them. And sorry for everything after. Over weeks, we built an easy partnership. I read newspapers to him every morning. When his shirt tore, I mended it. He made coffee exactly when I needed it most. He knew when I was tired by my footsteps, when I'd had a bad day by my voice. We were building something real. Beatrice called one evening. Just checking on my dear stepdaughter. How's married life? Fine. Living in that tiny apartment with a blind man who can't work? Struggling on waitress salary. I'm happier than I was with you. I give it 6 months before you come crawling back. David is my husband. And he treats me with more respect than you ever did. I hung up, hands shaking but proud. I'd never stood up to her like that. Everything okay? David asked. My stepmother. Trying to make me feel bad. Are you? I thought honestly. The tiny apartment, tight budget, exhausting schedule. Then Beatrice's house, the cruelty, constant humiliation. No. This is hard, but honest. I'd rather have an honest hard life than a dishonest comfortable one. Come sit with me. He put his arm around me and we stayed like that, his warmth and presence feeling more real than anything in Beatrice's house. What I didn't know was that David Thorne was CEO of Thorne Technologies, worth $50 million. And he wasn't blind. After his third girlfriend left upon discovering a prenup would limit her wealth access, David had become cynical. Every woman seemed to see dollar signs. So he devised a test through Mrs. Zhang's charity program, which he funded anonymously. He'd pose as a blind, unemployed man. No money, no prospects. Just himself. Most candidates didn't last past the initial meeting. But Jenny had been different from the moment she walked into that registry office. He'd watched through dark glasses as Beatrice mocked her, as step-siblings filmed her humiliation. And instead of resentment or desperation, he'd seen quiet dignity. Now, with Raymond's help, he conducted specific tests. Test 1, the wallet. Raymond accidentally dropped his wallet in the building hallway, $5,000 in cash inside. They monitored the hallway camera. Jenny found it, picked it up, looked around the empty hall. Then opened it for identification and called Raymond immediately. I found your wallet. It has cash and cards. I wanted to return it as soon as possible. All $5,000 was still inside. Test 2, the watch. Raymond left a $70,000 Patek Philippe on the coffee table. Jenny found it cleaning the next morning. David, did Raymond leave this? It looks really expensive. She called Raymond immediately, refusing his offer of a reward. Test 3, the job offer. Raymond presented a job offer over coffee, $90,000 a year, but required relocating to another city. That's incredible, Jenny said, stunned. But I can't. David needs me. I can't abandon someone who depends on me for money. This is your future. My future is with him. I made vows. I meant them. Test 4, the overheard conversation. Raymond spoke loudly in the hallway, deliberately audible through the apartment door. She should divorce him. The guy's blind, can't work. She's young, could start over with someone who can actually provide. Jenny yanked the door open. I don't care if you realized I'd hear. But I care that you're talking about my husband like he's a burden. David is worth more than every wealthy, sighted man I've met. He's kind, thoughtful, treats me with respect. Those things matter more than money or status. Jenny. If you can't respect my marriage, don't come back. David fell completely in love with her in that moment. Test 5, the inheritance. A lawyer contacted Jenny with an inheritance, $200,000 from a distant relative. Condition: she had to be single to claim it. Divorce within the month and the money was hers. David listened from the bedroom as she opened the letter, heard her sharp gasp. Then heard her pick up her phone. Hello, I'm calling about the inheritance letter. The condition states I must be single. My answer is no. I'm not interested. Please donate it to charity. I'm quite sure. She hung up and started dinner like nothing happened. How was your afternoon? David asked, emerging. Fine. Got a strange letter about some inheritance, but it was obviously a scam. Said I'd inherit money if I were single. Can you imagine? Like I'd divorce you for cash. She laughed genuinely. As if any amount of money would be worth losing what we have. What do we have, Jenny? A partnership, trust, respect, and maybe the beginning of something more. I care about you, David. A lot. These months have been the happiest I've been since my parents died. He found her hand. I care about you too. More than I can say. She'd passed every test not because she was trying to impress, but because this was who she was. Kind, honest, loyal. But now he faced a dilemma: how to reveal the truth without making her feel betrayed. Beatrice hadn't forgotten about Jenny. Instead of being miserable, Jenny seemed happy. That was unacceptable. Vanessa began posting on social media about family members who make unfortunate life choices. Beatrice spread rumors in her social circle. Poor Jenny, married to a blind beggar, working herself to death. The rumors reached Jenny's workplace. Beatrice's friends came to Morrison's, sitting in Jenny's section. Isn't that Eleanor's stepdaughter? The one who married the blind man? How tragic. Jenny served their coffee with steady hands and neutral face, even as their pitying stares followed her. Worse came when Beatrice showed up at Rosewood with wealthy friends, loudly announcing how proud she was that Jenny was making the best of a bad situation. My stepdaughter married a disabled man. No money, no prospects. But she's handling it with grace, working multiple jobs to keep them afloat. The worst came at a convenience store where Jenny had picked up weekend shifts. Beatrice walked in with Vanessa and Damien. Another job, Jenny? How many now? Beatrice moved closer. Don't you think it's time to admit this marriage was a mistake? Come home. Divorce him. I'm not coming back. And I'm not divorcing my husband. You're being stupid. You're killing yourself for what? For dignity. Beatrice's voice rose. You could have a good life if you'd admit you made a mistake. The only mistake was waiting so long to leave your house. You have no future with him. No money. No social standing. You're throwing your life away. I have more dignity as his wife than I ever had as your stepdaughter. You're nothing, Jenny. You'll always be nothing. She's not nothing. David stood in the doorway, Raymond beside him. Dark glasses firmly in place, but his presence commanded attention. She's my wife, David continued. And she's worth more than all of you combined. You poor man. You don't understand. Jenny is sacrificing everything. Better than being treated with respect? Better than being valued for who she is. David moved forward. She has that with me. What did she have with you? How dare you? I dare because I see clearly what you've done. You've spent years tearing her down, stealing what's hers, making her believe she's worthless. But she's extraordinary. After they left, Jenny sagged against David. I'm sorry you had to see that. Don't apologize. But it ends now. I promise you, Jenny. It ends now. That evening, David called Raymond. Set it up. The charity gala. 3 weeks. Make sure Beatrice is there, all of high society. And make sure Jenny is invited to work it. You're sure? I'm sure. Jenny deserves vindication. The wheels were in motion. And David had 3 weeks to gather evidence that Beatrice had been stealing Jenny's inheritance. The invitation came Tuesday morning. They're looking for extra servers. $200 for the evening. That sounds good, David said neutrally. Beatrice will probably be there. Does that bother you? A little. But I need the money. And I refuse to let her intimidate me. Over 3 weeks, Raymond finalized everything. Beatrice has been stealing from Jenny's trust for 13 years. Nearly $2 million total. Evidence is irrefutable. The night arrived. Jenny dressed in her server's uniform, looking exhausted. You look beautiful, David said. I look like a server. You look like yourself. Which is beautiful. Actually, I think I'll come with you. Raymond got tickets. They arrived separately, Jenny through service entrance, David through the front in his custom Tom Ford tuxedo, dark glasses still in place. The ballroom was spectacular. Crystal chandeliers, gold accents, hundreds of wealthy guests. David took his seat at a prominent table reserved for major donors. Beatrice swept in wearing a designer gown that cost $10,000, Jenny's money. She spotted Jenny serving champagne and her eyes lit with malice. Oh my, is that my stepdaughter? Working as a server? How appropriate. She made her way across the room, intercepting Jenny. Jenny, darling. Everyone should hear this. This is my stepdaughter. She married a blind beggar a few months ago. She works multiple jobs to support them. So inspirational. More guests turned to look. Jenny's cheeks flushed, but she held her head high. The event coordinator took the stage. Before we begin, I have a special announcement. We have a generous donor who's funded this event for 5 years anonymously. Please welcome David Thorne, CEO of Thorne Technologies. The spotlight swung to David's table. He stood and slowly removed his dark glasses. The room erupted in whispers. That's David Thorne. The CEO? Worth $50 million. Jenny, standing near the back, felt blood drain from her face. David. Her husband. The blind pauper. He could see. He was a CEO. He'd been lying the entire time. Thank you, David said. But I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm here to talk about my wife. Every eye turned to Jenny in her server's uniform. 3 months ago, I married Jenny Reeves. I was conducting an experiment, posing as a blind, unemployed man through a charity program, testing if anyone could value character over circumstances. Complete silence. Most failed immediately. But Jenny was different from the first moment. A large screen activated behind the stage. Security footage played, Jenny coming home exhausted, caring for him. Reading newspapers, mending clothes, describing sunsets. This is what she did when she thought I was blind and poor. When there was no reward. She worked 3 jobs to support us. Turned down life-changing opportunities to stay by my side. More footage. The wallet returned. The watch. The job offer refused. Each test passed. She passed every test. Not because she knew she was being tested, but because this is who she is. Kind. Honest. Loyal. Jenny was crying. But there's more you should know. How Jenny came to marry me. Photos from the wedding appeared, Jenny in her thrift store dress, Beatrice and her children mocking, Vanessa filming. Beatrice Harrington forced Jenny into this marriage to humiliate her. She attended to mock publicly, posted about it on social media, spent months spreading rumors about Jenny's tragic situation. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Let's talk about how Beatrice has been helping Jenny for 13 years. Legal documents appeared. Bank statements. Trust fund records. When Jenny's father died, he left nearly $2 million in trust. Beatrice, as temporary trustee, systematically stole it all. Using Jenny's money for renovations, designer clothes, her children's lifestyle. All while forcing Jenny to work multiple jobs and live in a storage room. Raymond stepped forward with documentation. Every transaction is verified. Nearly $2 million stolen over 13 years. That's fraud and theft. Those documents are fabricated. Beatrice shouted. They're from the bank, Raymond said calmly. Every transaction documented. David continued. When Beatrice arranged for Jenny to marry a blind beggar, she thought she was getting rid of her stepdaughter. What she didn't know was that she'd arranged for Jenny to marry a millionaire who would ensure justice. The room erupted. Beatrice was shaking, trying to speak. David walked to Jenny. I know this is a shock. I know you feel betrayed. And you have every right to be angry. He took the tray from her hands. I started this as a test. A cynical experiment. But you saw me. Just me. You cared for me, defended me, chose me over everything else. You lied, Jenny whispered. I did. And I'm so sorry. But my feelings are real. The partnership we built is real. The way I fell in love with you is real. Behind them, Beatrice made a desperate attempt. This is a misunderstanding. You abused me, Jenny said, turning to face her. For 13 years, you made me feel worthless. Stole my inheritance. Forced me into this marriage to humiliate me. She looked around the room. And I'm glad you did. Because you gave me David. A real partner who values me. You thought you were punishing me, but you set me free. Hotel security entered with police officers. Beatrice Harrington? We have a warrant for your arrest on charges of fraud, embezzlement, and trust fund theft. You can't. Every crime is documented, Raymond said, handing over the folder. 13 years of theft totaling nearly $2 million. As officers led Beatrice away in handcuffs, Vanessa and Damien tried to leave. Not so fast, David said. You both benefited from stolen money. The legal team will contact you about restitution. And those videos mocking Jenny? That constitutes harassment. They fled as the ballroom erupted in conversation. David led Jenny to a private room overlooking the city. I'm so sorry, he said. Not just for the lie, but for how you found out. I was afraid you'd leave, afraid I'd lose the most genuine thing that's ever happened to me. You should have told me. I would have understood. Would you? I tested you without your knowledge. That's not easily forgiven. You also saw me, she said softly. You saw who I really was. You valued my character. Beatrice never saw it. But you did. I fell in love with you. Watching you turn down money for loyalty. Watching you defend me. How could I not? I'm hurt, she said finally. You lied for months. I know. But I understand why. My feelings were real too. Every moment of caring, every conversation, genuine. I fell in love with who you were, not knowing you were wealthy. So where does that leave us? I think we have a choice. Let the lies destroy what we built. Or acknowledge we started in deception but built something real despite it. What do you want? I want a real marriage. No more tests. No more lies. Just two people who know each other completely and choose each other anyway. I can give you that. I swear, no more secrets. And I want time. Time to process, to adjust, to heal. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. Promise. I promise. You're my wife, my partner, the love of my life. I'll wait as long as it takes. Jenny moved closer. Then let's start over. Hi, I'm Jenny Reeves Thorne. I work multiple jobs, I love describing sunsets, and I value genuine connection over wealth. David smiled. Hi, I'm David Thorne. I'm a CEO who's been falling in love with my wife for 3 months, and I'm an idiot who almost lost the best thing that happened to him. Yeah, you are an idiot. Does that mean you forgive me? It means I'm working on it. Ask me again in a few weeks. They laughed together, and somehow, despite everything, it felt right. Legal proceedings moved quickly. Beatrice was charged with fraud, embezzlement, and trust fund theft. Her assets were frozen. She spent 3 nights in jail before making bail. But the damage to her reputation was irreparable. News spread through social media, especially after Vanessa's own videos surfaced, every post mocking Jenny, every humiliation filmed. Comic justice, one viral tweet read. Woman who mocked stepsister for marrying blind beggar, discovers the beggar is a millionaire and her mom's going to jail for stealing sister's inheritance. The trust fund investigation revealed the full extent, not just $2 million stolen, but with proper management, the trust should be worth $4.2 million. Your father invested wisely, the forensic accountant explained. Beatrice will be required to repay the full amount plus damages. The house was sold. Everything liquidated. Vanessa and Damien were required to return items purchased with stolen money. Beatrice's trial was set for 6 months out. Her lawyer argued for a plea deal, but prosecutors weren't generous. Meanwhile, Jenny moved to David's real home, a beautiful penthouse. It was overwhelming after years of poverty. "I don't know how to live like this," she admitted. "You don't have to change who you are. This is just a place. You're what makes it home." She kept working at first, unable to shake survival instinct. "I think I want to finish college," she said one morning. "I had to drop out when Beatrice stopped paying tuition. I want to study social work. Help people who've been through what I went through." "That's perfect for you." She enrolled for spring semester, building a new life. Not as a millionaire's wife, but as Jenny, educated, purposeful, finally free. The relationship was healing too. "I'm still hurt sometimes," she admitted one evening. "I'll remember a moment you pretended to need help and realize it was performance. It makes me feel foolish." "You weren't foolish. You were kind. And I understand if you need more time. I don't want distance. I want honesty. Can you promise that?" "I promise. About everything. No more walls. Then we can move forward. Together. Together." They renewed vows 6 months later. This time, the ceremony was beautiful. Jenny wore a designer gown she'd chosen herself. David wore his tuxedo without dark glasses, hazel eyes bright with tears as she walked down the aisle. Raymond was best man. Mrs. Zhang attended, beaming with pride. Close friends from work celebrated. Beatrice was not invited. She was serving 3 years in prison. "Do you ever miss them?" David asked the night before. "Sometimes I miss the idea of family. But not them specifically. You're my family now." Speaking of building together. He pulled out a folder. "I've been working on something." Inside was a proposal for the Jenny Thorne Foundation for Abused and Orphaned Children. "You want to name a foundation after me? I want us to run it together. You understand what these kids need. With your inheritance and my resources, we could make a real difference." They launched the foundation 6 months after the vow renewal. Scholarships for orphans. Support services for abuse survivors. Educational programs. Housing assistance. They established scholarships, funded counseling, created mentorship programs. And Jenny made one choice: they provided basic support to Beatrice upon release. "I don't want to be like her," Jenny explained. "She was cruel because she valued money over people. I want to value people even when they don't deserve it." Beatrice never responded. But when released after 2 years, she found a modest apartment arranged and a basic stipend provided. Vanessa reached out eventually, awkward and apologetic. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I was terrible to you. Why reach out now? I got a real job. A customer recognized me from those videos. Asked why I was so mean to my sister. I didn't have a good answer." Jenny studied her stepsister, no longer designer-dressed, genuinely remorseful. "I forgive you. Not because you've earned it, but because holding anger doesn't help me." They didn't become close. But they achieved peace. "Mrs. Thorne, we have the final count for this year's scholarship recipients." Jenny looked up from her desk. Her assistant Grace was smiling. "How many?" 247. Full scholarships to 247 orphaned or abused children. 247 futures we're changing. That evening, they hosted dinner. Raymond and his fiancée, Mrs. Zhang. Close friends. "A toast," Raymond said. To Jenny, who turned a cruel test into a genuine love story. And to David, who learned that the best things can't be bought or tested, they have to be earned through real connection. After dinner, they stood on their balcony overlooking the city. "Remember standing in that park when you described the sunset?" David asked. "When I thought you couldn't see it." "I could see it. But your description made it more beautiful. You have a gift for finding beauty. I learned to look for it because everything else was so hard. If I couldn't find something beautiful each day, I'd have given up." "Would you have chosen me without the test?" Jenny asked, a question she'd wondered but never asked. David considered honestly. I don't know. I was so caught up in protecting myself that I might have pushed you away if I'd met you normally. The test gave me a chance to see who you really were. So maybe the test wasn't entirely wrong. The test was wrong. The deception was wrong. But finding you was right. Loving you is right. You don't have to keep making up for it. I've forgiven you. Have you? Really? Jenny thought honestly. The hurt had faded. What remained was solid, a partnership built on genuine connection, tested through adversity, emerging stronger. Yeah, I really have. We're good, David. Better than good. I love you, Jenny Thorne. I love you too. My blind millionaire husband who turned out to see everything. He laughed. Not my best moment. But it led to this. To us. To the foundation. To helping hundreds of kids. Maybe that's the real lesson. Not about tests or wealth, but about how the worst things can sometimes lead to the best outcomes if we choose to make something good from them. When did you become so wise? When I married a man who made me believe I was worth something. They stood there as the city lights twinkled below, two people who'd started as strangers in a humiliating ceremony and become partners in every sense. The journey had been unconventional, painful at times, deceptive in its beginning. But what they'd built was real. And that made all the difference. Which test do you think was most revealing of Jenny's character? And do you believe circumstances or character matter more when judging someone? Share your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this story of justice and true love, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more inspiring tales.